There's only so many email blasts that people can pay attention to, so these cameras are here so that we can talk to the members and I can answer your questions and we can reach out to the people who aren't coming out to the picket lines.
Are we planning on putting together any kind of okay, based on your reaction to our thing, here's our next offer, will you keep talking to us?
Hey, we have a counter proposal. They can look at it anytime they want. We were working on it when they walked out. We were about halfway through putting it together.
We expected that they would stay there, and we would have stayed as long as they wanted to, making moves back and forth until we get to the point where we finally have a deal. But they got up and left. You could tell they were getting itchy. The whole thing was about, clearly they had a 6 o'clock press release that they had to get to. And if they didn't get to it, it was going to ruin their whole news cycle.
They're not interested in making a good deal. They want to make a bad deal with us, and they want to demoralize us.
They just said, all right, we're leaving. And then they issued their press release 3 minutes later. So my guess, it was written 2 weeks ago. They had their whole media strategy was plotted 2 weeks before the negotiation.
They were freaked out enough by the success of our press that they hired these this heavy hitter PR firm.
It was a fake negotiation, specifically designed to issue press releases at certain points, like the new economic partnership. That didn't completely persuade the world, so then they trotted out the reality thing, which had more traction with their members.
You know, we're saying new media is the fight, so why are we talking about these things?
Well, reality and animation do matter to the Guild. They're important issues for our members. And if they don't want to give it to us, they can't just threaten it away, you know, they have to bargain it away.
I heard on the news this morning that Paramount has announced that it's going to be releasing a new movie direct to internet.
Right.
And that this is a great test case for their new business model.
Right.
And that the way they're going to finance the film is 30-second commercials.
Right.
So when we're saying this is a future issue, apparently today is the beginning of it.
It's not today, it's been going on for a while. They know how to monetize it. Last week I'm driving and I'm listening to an ad for Netflix. You know, they have 6,000 movies now that you can just download for $1.99. We don't have a formula for that.
Don't they understand from a corporate perspective that if you want to keep the talented people working for you, you pay them competitive salaries? I mean, that's basic corporate strategy. Like, what's...
Yeah, no, honestly, it never makes sense to me they have one strategic advantage going into the internet, and that's the relationship with the talent community. It's the only, because their distribution monopoly that they've had is gone on the internet.
If they could take this to India, they would. If they could take it to China, if they could really have a USC student run The Simpsons, they would. They can't.
So it doesn't make sense to me that when you're entering this sort of frightening new era, that your one strategic advantage you alienate, and you try to get on the cheap, and you essentially drive them into the arms of any other person who has the financial wherewithal to support you, and that's what they're doing. I mean, look, how you treat a partner is you're going to the internet and you sit down with them and say, hey, there's this new thing, let's figure this out. We're going to pay you. You know, obviously you're going to get paid because we have this ongoing relationship with you. But instead what they did was they just streamed our TV shows for nothing, unilaterally imposed a rate for streaming or for downloads on iTunes, and then said, hey, this is what we're going to give you. What are you going to do? So the idea that we're their partners, I think, you know, you don't really treat your partner with this degree of contempt.
Stuff like the DVD that we took off the table right away. Can you put that back?
Once you take something off the table, which is why we're so reluctant to do this stuff right now with reality. Our history is when we take something off the table, it's gone. We did it in good faith. We did it expecting to get a counter, and we didn't get a counter.
If the WGA goes in January and does make a deal, is that then set the precedent for our deal?
No, only if it's a good deal.
What more can we do to show our support and try to push things forward?
You know, everybody wants to push things forward, and I've tried. You know, it's a frustrating thing for all of us. Is you want to make this happen, and I can't make things happen. None of us can until they are willing to sit down and negotiate.
You know, the strategy, obviously, that the AMPTP would like to engage in is to distance us from our leaders, to distance us from ourselves, to make us scared and nervous. Most of the stuff that we hear about factions and people mistrusting their leaders, and even the stuff about reality and animation, they're using that to try to demoralize us and to make us distrust our leadership.
I think we're looking to get the best deal we can for the maximum number of members and get our members back to work. I feel genuinely responsible, and I can say this for every member of that negotiating committee. We feel completely responsible for the membership.
So every time you hear that stuff, and I start getting anxious, I think, our leadership doesn't know what they're doing, and then I go, oh, wait, that's what the AMPTP is trying to make us feel.
Yeah, look, they're cynical, they're businessmen. If they can get away with it, they will. If we fold because they've succeeded in manipulating us, they're going to try it. And the only way we can counter it is by staying strong and united and negotiating with them when they finally decide they're serious about negotiating from a position of unity and strength. And then we'll get a deal we can live with. But certainly not. They're not interested in that right now.
What I hope, this will make me the happiest day of my life, is if I'm sitting at dinner with my friends in 5 years and I say the worst thing those companies ever did was bring these people into proximity of one another for hours and hours and hours a day with nothing to think about but how do we come up with a new business model for ourselves, and just putting all of these brains together to come up with a different way of doing business. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. Please have this conversation with everyone you know.